Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. The 6 o'clock location we have Torch starting as the blue Terran. This is of course on Lost Temple. 9 o'clock location we have TLO, aka the little one, as the red Zerg 9 o'clock location. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you're unfamiliar with TLO, he really became a fan favorite during the early beta stages and also early release, just because he was extremely creative in his builds. He really had some interesting play overall, had some very fun build orders. Towards BlizzCon, he decided to switch over to Zerg, which tends to be a little bit more of a cookie cutter style race, but I do expect to see some creativity out of TLO, just because I know that's his style. He's going up against Torch, and if you're unfamiliar with Torch, he is a player that if you go to collegehumor.com, you have him taking on 3 newbies and just showing what a consummate professional he is. And actually, I really like his attitude and style overall. Looks like TLO might get a bit of a scouting advantage right off the bat. So it's going to sneak in, catch the edge of that command center, and then try to dash off. And it doesn't look like Torch will be any of the wiser. In fact, he's not going to see even a sliver of red on the map thus far. And Torch, this is really the stage where he needs to send out an SCV on that corner to scout if there's an Overlord there. Let's see if he does a little bit later on. Unfortunately, as a result, he's going to end up in a bit of a scouting disadvantage, because automatically in there's that SCV. Let's see if it in fact sees that Overlord. Does not see the Overlord, which is absolutely devastating, because now what TLO can actually do is he can move this Overlord to about this position and then keep an eye on any scouts moving outside of the base. Just a little bit later, mosey it on out to the natural expansion and just basically get all sorts of information to start. And it looks like TLO is going to respond to this early scouting advantage by getting a natural expansion, knowing essentially that looks like Torch is going to scout the far away around. So heading out to the 3 o'clock location, and TLO actually revealing his Overlord across the barracks. So, and it looks like Torch instead immediately making a beeline to the 9 o'clock. So he is in fact going to see this early hatchery. He's going to know that TLO is more of an economic kind of early build order, so he's going to probably decide to get aggressive. So we see a command center being built. It is possible that he'll try to just play economic catch up and plant down a command center of his own. Looks like he's producing a Marine to try to catch this Overlord out in open field, but even though he might not catch this, it looks like he might catch that drone. Beautiful supply depot raise, and it looks like Torch is going to send that not going to get the drone kill, but is going to send that drone home, is going to prevent TLO from getting any additional information. And really, this is kind of the critical stage where TLO wanted to have that drone inside the base to see specifically this. The second harvester, looks like there is an orbital command center. At the very least, TLO knows he's not going up against any early trees, but he also knows he needs to get some units out in the field to cope with what will inevitably be some sort of early pressure, because TLO with that Overlord over that natural expansion should be able to see if a natural expansion is planted. In the meantime, Torch just continuing to produce some Marines. Doesn't look like he's going to go for any sort of infantry-based pressure, because you can see that supply depot along the edge, and it looks like he has planted a factory. Bring up the production tab. Looks like he has planted a factory, and I almost assume he's going to go to air at these close positions, either to do a quick drop or maybe even some Banshee pressure with these dual refineries running. And let's see which he decides to do. In the meantime, looks like TLO is getting his Roach Warren up, is sending out some more Overlords to provide some additional scouting information in position. That drone coming back home, actually a couple drones wandering out in the field for whatever reason. A little bit of a bad rally point, perhaps. And it looks like no continued production on the Marines on the front door. But I do like what Torch is doing as far as this Marine coverage on the corner, preventing any additional Overlords, like this one perhaps, from running up and getting any additional scouting information, particularly seeing the starport that is now being placed, as well as a Hellion being produced to do a little bit of damage on the front. These, it looks like a couple Zerglings were on the Zelnaga Watchtower. I think these two might take up a residence there. It looks like they're just mostly hanging out towards this natural expansion. The Zergling's definitely going to get taken out in open field against the Hellion just faster. Nice sacrifice by the little one, actually just sending out a handful of Zerglings to throw that Hellion back and basically get a little bit more. Oh, it looks like 2 Roaches moving forward to deal with that Hellion now. Try to pin, essentially now, to pin Torch in, to pin him to 2 bases, force him to go a little bit more tank heavy perhaps. In the meantime, the starport has been produced. Now this Overlord that was hanging out kind of in that middling position will help provide a little bit of information against any sort of drop that might come out. But the Roach is already inside of Torch's base, just walking right in. It looks like, wow, Torch actually has them trapped though, so going to be able to take out both of them. So TLO getting a little bit too aggressive perhaps, but he is going to get the scouting information he was looking for, seeing the starport, seeing the factory. a Thor being produced, so it looks like it's going to be a Thor drop from Torch. Wow, a Thor drop from Torch. And I actually missed this armory. I wonder if TLO saw that army. In fact, I don't think, yeah, TLO did not see the armory. I don't think he's going to expect this coming over his natural expansion. This is a really nice play, especially considering the tech that TLO's in. All TLO can do is build spine crawlers, but if you drop, assuming there's not even a drop at the main, if you get to this high ground with that Thor, he can do a lot of damage. He can deny this second gas. He can really pick off a couple units here and just be annoying, just be full of harass. Looks like some roaches moving out to the main. With that lack of air mobility and specifically no drop or anything along those lines can be very difficult to defend, and it looks like the Queen is going to be right there to deal with that medevac initially, and oh, the Thor coming back, oh, just sitting there taking damage, needs to back off. Some drones actually pulling off the line to try to help deal with it, and another Overlord now sneaking up for TLO. He wants to continue to get that scouting information now that perhaps Torch is a little bit distracted. It looks like he is in fact going to get it. He's going to see that armory. He's going to be able to see more or less almost everything in Torch's base. Also get a good look at kind of that SCV count, and now that Torch has not done any significant damage with this drop, he's actually in a lot of trouble because economically he's going to end up significantly behind both in harvesters and in mineral count. Keep in mind that mineral count is boosted a little bit artificially because of the mules, and that will drop dramatically once the mules have been expended, but the harvester is continuing to pump up for TLO. Now immediately looks like that Thor is moving out. It's going to head towards that high ground drop, and I'm wondering if we're going to, nope, looks like we're just going to see some more medevacs. It looks like a command center being built as well. There is a siege tank on the low ground, and I don't know that the threat of a Thor on the high ground is enough for Torch to really go out and take his natural expansion. And it looks like pushing forward, the Overlord providing some scouting, now being pushed back, so that spine crawler not going to be able to, actually Roach is running to the corner, but yeah, and this is the annoyance. You can just run back and forth, micro it, take out that Overlord with the range, go back and forth, basically just be frustrating, and that Overlord gonna get taken out by that Viking on that corner. I do like the decision to build a Viking, maybe to provide some additional anti-Overlord support above that high ground, particularly provide some additional defense otherwise, but honestly, no, actually take that back, because TLO's been, and maybe just to try to catch some Overlords out in the field and deny some vision at large. It looks like a single drone getting caught in the middle of the map, almost getting taken out, getting chased down now by a gigantic Thor. How scary is that? You're just this little drone out in the field, and all of a sudden this giant mech is chasing you. But right now, what Torch has done a fantastic job doing is basically completely controlling information out in the field. You can see an Overseer desperately trying to get out in the map, but look at the red out in the mini-map, otherwise absolutely empty. So TLO, even though he has a huge economic advantage, he's not going to see this hidden command center at the 3 o'clock by Torch. So, and I'm not sure when he's going to get around to scouting that. In the meantime, a Nidus Worm from TLO popping up, and let's see what he's going to, I assume he's just going to load it up with roaches, but a lot of roaches loading up into the back of TLO's base. I don't think he has enough to even defend against this. Looks like he's some medevacs moving out with some siege tanks, some Thors, and he's going to have to drop that right back as these roaches are moving into his base, running right up to his command line, backing off, and looks like the dropship is there to try to help deal against this, but that is still a very significant army. SCVs coming off the line to try to defend. The Thor getting taken out almost immediately, surrounding it before the SCVs can repair. Siege tanks getting taken